All right, I'd like to talk a little bit about the origins of the universe. Scientists recently have come to the conclusion that the universe had a beginning. If you would go back to Genesis 1:1 from thousands of years ago in your King James Bible, the actual Christian Bible in English, it says that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Now, what we have there goes with science very, very well. According to the second law of thermodynamics, matter cannot be eternal. In simple terms, the law states that physical materials go from a state of order to disorder, and that energy goes from a higher state to a lower state. In other words, the whole thing eventually falls apart. You can raise the energy of a system only by taking energy from another system. And that word system is often overlooked, but is very important. This universe, this massive, complex, and finely tuned universe is an enormous collection of systems that, of course, could not have built themselves. According to the second law of thermodynamics, it couldn't have just sprung into being by random chance. A system needs a creator. It needs someone with power and wisdom and knowledge to create it, put it in motion, and make it work. Now let's go back to Genesis. In the beginning, time had a beginning. God created the heaven, space, and the earth, matter. Time cannot be eternal. If time were eternal, say run back to the eternity past, we could not be here today. Matter, according to thermodynamics, cannot be eternal. Space had to come into being with time and matter. You can't have matter with no space. God created these things according to the Bible, and science is just starting to figure these things out. Now, I have a system on my roof. It's called a 30-year industrial shingle. Those shingles are about worn out. Simply putting energy into the system will not fix it up. I mean, I could go up there with a gallon of gasoline and a match and put energy into the system. That wouldn't cure the problem. Systems require knowledge. They require a designer. They require guys who know what they're doing to get up there on the roof and put a metal roof on it. Now, I've helped put a metal roof on a building once. It was about yay tall and yay steep, and we rednecked it. No equipment. And as I was finishing up, it began to rain, and I was very happy to get off of there in one piece. But God, in His infinite wisdom, has created this thing, and He sustains it. It could not have happened by itself. The idea that nothing turned into something and exploded, that is completely against scientific law. First of all, you can't get something from nothing. Blowing things up does not create anything. It destroys them. You have to have order. You have to have volition. You have to have wisdom, intelligence, and power, all attributes of God. In Genesis 1:26 it says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. God is a triune God, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And He is one God as He is completely and perfectly united. When you think about human beings, we are triune creatures. If we are made in the image of God, and we are, with what? With personality and emotions and wisdom and volition and logic and reason. All those things so many scientists try to use against God were given to them by God. But we are triune beings. We are flesh, spirit, and soul. And we are united. If the soul leaves the body, it's not a good thing. As for you materialists out there, understand that simple materialism is not good enough. Some of the concepts I've just laid out, logic, reason, emotion, these are immaterial concepts. And yet, we use these concepts to build and make things in our daily lives. We lack the power that God has. We can't create something out of nothing. We use what He has created to create other things. Take math, for instance. The entire universe runs on mathematical principles and with mathematical constants and concepts. Math is completely immaterial. There is no God of math that says, I'm going to create the sun, and the planets are going to orbit around the sun in thus and thus fashion. They're going to spin in this fashion, and gravity is going to have this amount of power, da-da-da-da-da. Math is not a deity. It is an immaterial concept, but we use it every day to create things. Materialism, by definition, is false. Behind the material, which is temporary, according to scientific law, there is spiritual. The only way that the material universe could come into being, because it can't be eternal, it had to be created by something that was eternal and is eternal. And that is the spiritual, immaterial, timeless, and spaceless. Okay,